well-established media and marketing professional with over 2 decades experience across multiple brands in radio, digital, television, out-of-home segments. She's going to share with us on the topic Beyond Billboards, the new age of OOH. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the stage Managing Director, Talon Asia Pacific. She walks on, Miss Melanie Lindquist. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming along today. I just want to share with you some really interesting insights that I've accumulated over my years in media. I'll try to make it as brief as possible because it is actually very complex, and I'm all for brevity. So firstly, I just wanted to share with you my perspective on the industry coming from all different facets. So this is my honeycomb of a career. I started in live and experiential, and then migrated to radio, then television, e-commerce and digital, working with clients on a range of different aspects of digital as it was emerging. And then, of course, I've worked in out-of-home media for many, many years now. But the perspective that I bring is actually that I come from a brand side, I come from an agency side, and also I come from working in a media owner. And the skill set that I've acquired over the years ranges from communications through to marketing, through to sales and sales integration and consumer experience, then into strategy and working with agencies on strategy for brands. And then I spent a lot of time working in data research and insights because that was what was fueling strategy. And now in out of home, I will use all of that experience to talk to brands and agencies and marketers and media owners, suppliers to the industry, and talk about out of home on a daily basis. My current role is based in Singapore, and that is the headquarters for Talon. And Talon is a global out of home full service agency that works with brands at a global level and buys in every country across the world. We work with agencies, we work with brands directly and marketing directors and marketing teams. We also work with other agencies like creative agencies and digital agencies. We also work with solutions providers to the industry. And that's definitely developed over the years. But most importantly, on a daily basis, I talk to media owners all over Asia Pacific and also around the world. And Talon's role in all of this ecosystem is from the top of the funnel on the sales funnel, working with brands on their strategy and in advocating for out of home on the media plan. We also get very granular and develop media plans, harnessing all the aspects of out of home, all the way through to buying and negotiation with media owners. And then, of course, most importantly, we focus on effectiveness, research, data, and measurement. And of course, industry advocacy is very important to Talon. We always want to make sure that we're at industry events and talking about important aspects of the industry so that we can drive growth. So that's just a little bit of a background and context for you. And what we see and what we think is important. Levers of growth and where we see that we should focus on a few key areas to grow in the future. But then I also want to end on an inherent risk. And the reason that I bring up risk is that risk can also bring great opportunity. And it's very important to review risk and be aware of it and then work how you can lever that into an opportunity. So let's get started. So in terms of an out-of-home media snapshot, I want to share with you a few key stats. And I won't go through them all individually because you can take a photo of the screen or we'll share the slides with you afterwards. But as Tom mentioned yesterday, the industry itself is going through great growth globally and projected to grow again in 2024 and grow the market share and maintain over 5%. Globally also, Asia Pacific is incredibly strong in that ecosystem, which is fantastic, and also a great opportunity for India to be a part of that, and we've heard that through a lot of the presentations. But But really importantly is digital for global buyers of out-of-home media is a very important part of their overall media mix modelling. Digital, they're digital first when they're planning, and they're looking at digital out-of-home as being a part of that as well. And even more interestingly is that programmatic is starting to rise as well. Across Asia Pacific, we have disparity across countries. We have some countries where digital is very low in its inventory conversion, and therefore programmatic is does not have market penetration, through to countries like Australia where it's really leading growth for the industry. So APAC is thriving, but we have a long way to go. When Talon does research, we always look at how we're effective on the plan, and what we're finding is that in combination in the mix, out-of-home is still incredibly effective, whether it is static, classic, traditional out-of-home, whether it's digital out-of-home, or whether it's programmatically bought. But usually when we're planning, it's a combination of all of them to make sure that we optimise the plan for out-of-home and it fits and integrates with the larger media plan. And I just wanted to call out one last figure here around trust. All our research is still saying that consumers trust out-of-home media, and trust is a key component of decision making. And remember, your marketing directors and brands and agencies are consumers at heart. So if they're trusting of you and we continue to focus on trust of the medium, it will help us get further and bigger placement in the media plan as well. So when we go to more of a macro view, we still have growth in a global GDP. And what we also look at is the growth in income levels. And upper income household levels in terms of the globe, there is huge growth and projected growth in the region as well. And to a brand looking at new consumer bases and new target audiences, that's a very important consideration. And also what's important is consumption. So when there's disposable income, comes consumption, and when there's consumption, that becomes incredibly attractive to a brand. So countries that are thriving and cities that are thriving and can prove with data that there's increase in consumption and increase in household incomes, and also there's lucrative markets there, it becomes very attractive for a brand. So let me get on to levers of growth. I've talked a little bit about the macro level, but levers of growth, and I want to talk about three key things. First one is the sales model, and I've talked about this in other conferences as well. The sales model is still really groaning under the pressure of an enormous amount of change. And when I say the sales model, I mean the process by which you sell billboards and sell out of home. When we first started selling billboards, it was very simple. I think the highlight was actually the site going live. We went out and had a look at it, and we took the client to lunch, and it was fantastic. Now, a general day is a range of different components to selling, and not all of them require the same discipline, but it does require a much broader understanding of how to sell. And let me talk more of a workflow process. So this is what we were at. The brief was being sent to multiple agencies or media owners. We were selling on sites and locations. We were deciding on the availability of the dates. There was a sign-off, and then it would be booked with multiple media owners. But where we're now is it's all about audience, which is why we talk so much about measurement and audience measurement. The brief itself is often more involved. There's a lot more planning up ahead because the planners and buyers, the brands and their agencies are a lot more sophisticated, and they have so much information at their fingertips. So when it gets to the media owner, there's already a lot of consideration about the audience, and they want to know where they are. So unless we can prove where they are and prove that the site is the correct orientation, the right size, and the right quality, often it will get taken off the plan. And if it's not measured, it is therefore has no value. And if there's no value, it's not valued, and therefore it's easy to remove from a plan. The other area that is growing also is in proof and verification. And verification is very important, and there's definitely growth in that area around proving that what a media owner is delivering is what was bought by the brand. And therefore that obviously connects with trust as well. And always measure the plan and make sure that you can prove that the plan was delivered and what was delivered was very effective, and that should inform the next brief. But here's where we're going to, and this is where when you're not evolving with the technology, this can become very overwhelming very quickly. With the proliferation of technology and tools and data, it's actually moving towards a more self-service model on the buyer side. And if the sales model is not connected to that and evolving with that, that will become a very big issue if you aren't connecting your pipes to these tools and being visible by media planners. And the self-service will also be informed by AI. There will be ways that on the planning side and the buyer side, we'll be able to speed up our processes. We'll also be able to auto-build campaigns and optimize for 14 different parameters, and to the point of you can actually optimize for thousands of parameters until you get the right plan, and none of that involves the media owner. The other part also is that there will be automated pricing. Pricing will already be predetermined based on deals that have already been struck at the longer term, and therefore pricing will already be part of the plan response, so minimal negotiation. And then approval will just go through a system, through to delivery to the media owner, and then it'll be delivered, and the verification will be automated. That's the future of out-of-home media buying, and that's being driven by demand coming from the client side. And I'm happy to talk about it in more detail. But most importantly, what this does is it changes the speed at which we operate. So previously we had weeks to do a brief response. At the moment we're in days, and this will actually take minutes for the client to do it themselves. And if the sales model hasn't adapted to even get close to that, you will not be visible by planners and therefore not see any global media money coming through the pipe. And the question I always ask is, are you ready for it? Because you have to be getting ready for it now in order to capitalize on it later. The other area that's closely connected to that is talent. And I focus a lot on this because we should be hiring for the future. And there's some incredible talent that are not necessarily in our industry, and we need to attract them in. We need to upskill our existing talent, and we also need to be focused on talent mobility because the core requirements in our businesses change, and we have wonderful talent that we can train into our businesses to help us continue to grow. So very quickly, we need to attract a diverse group of talent as well. Not just people that have always sold out of home, but attract people in that haven't or have only planned digital. Because digital is driving a lot of the media growth and also taking the lion's share. So if we look at 4 key areas here, whilst online is a competitor, it's also an amazing opportunity for us because when out of home is combined with digital on a plan, we know from all the research that we uplift the results, and we should constantly be reminding our clients of that. But also we need to be looking at those that understand how digital works and bringing them into our businesses as we digitize. And over the years, we've talked about digital natives coming in as a generation, but that's going to become so passé because it'll actually be AI and Gen AI natives coming into the industry, whether it's in the digital industry or television or whatever it may be. We need to attract them into our businesses because that's the future and the future approach to media as well, and using those amazing tools that help inform and help us become more efficient in what we do. But I also just want to call out that it's important to keep legacy knowledge. We shouldn't replace it. The amazing knowledge that we have just in this room should be preserved within our industry because we know how it works and we need to carry that through to the future whilst then also growing our industry with infused, amazing, diverse talent and knowledge. And that next gen knowledge will keep us competitive and attractive for others coming into the industry, and they choose us over other media and will help us grow. So tech transformation and digital investment is creating a knowledge gap. We absolutely need to bridge it with diversification of talent. But how do we do it? Let me just bring this all up so you can take a photo. As with every good strategy, it starts with data. So there's been a great study done by Deloitte on generational approaches to how they work, which I highly encourage everybody to read, and I'm happy to share afterwards. Talent mobility, as I've mentioned, very important to cross-skill and upskill, but also very important to millennial and Gen Z generations, which is a very large group now. They thrive on learning, they want learning from their employers, and they want an environment that is geared towards learning and growth. They also want to share. They don't want to hoard and become part of a silo. They want to actually collaborate. And there's a few key themes here that we've talked about a lot, and collaboration is one of them. And then the other is being purposeful. And then, of course, these generations are very entrepreneurial, so why not unlock that in our industry? And I have kept some of the stats up here. This survey was done over 44 countries and 22,000 respondents, and had a great result to give you insight into how to attract them and how to nurture them in the business for growth. And then finally, technology, which we've talked a little bit about. But technology is going to help us speed up, and it's going to keep us agile, and all of that contributes to growth. 4 key pillars that I focus on in terms of technology that could potentially solve problems in our businesses and also unshackle us from the day-to-day of selling. Measurement is one of them. There are ways that technology can solve some of these problems, because at one point, I think Charles was talking about billion lines of data. There will be trillions at some point. There is no way human intervention or human involvement can help us understand all those lines of data quickly. So technology will help us solve that problem. Automation of duplicate and manual tasks, really important for unlocking potential within the teams and the talent within the business, and help speed us up, and will eradicate wastage. And then I've put programmatic here as a pillar because it's a growth area, and programmatic doesn't necessarily mean buying of hyper-targeted audiences for digital, but also how tools can help us buy out of home in its totality using a tool. And it will remove planning friction because we'll start to speak the same language as digital. And then, of course, I've mentioned verification. There's an enormous amount of technology around verification that can be automated. And therefore, as a media owner, it's not necessary for the team to go out and be taking pops in every single city that the campaign's running. There's actually a tool that will allow that to occur, and therefore, once again, unshackle the talent within the business that can be redeployed. It will also help if the technology is independent and third party, because it will therefore allow independent validation and verification, and once again build trust. So by removing duplicate and manual processes, it'll speed us up and make us really agile, and allow us to speak the same language as digital. We can redirect our teams and our talent and our human resources into other areas, including advocacy, education, and innovation. And also, as I think everybody's mentioned in their presentations, collaboration is key. Not any one individual in this room has the answer to everything. Not one gender, not one group of people, not even one media has the answer. It all comes down to collaboration and getting the right minds together. And then the other part of that is also partnering. And I really emphasize partnering because partnering can fuel growth. So in summary, evolving the sales model, diversifying the talent, and leveraging the technology will help fuel growth in the future and help us remain competitive, and ideally get the lion's share of the media plan. And then just finally, with 2 minutes to go, I just wanted to address one key thing that comes up a lot when I'm having conversations with my team and also with clients, and that is around the digitization of the industry. And it's been a fantastic innovation, and you've seen from the Australian market how much it's fueled growth. But one of the key things I always talk to clients about is share of voice and share of time. And with the rampant digitization in some markets, share of time has actually gotten as low as 1.67% share of time on the billboard or on the site. That's 15 seconds out of 900 seconds, or one ad in 15 minutes. And the basis of marketing and advertising is reach and frequency, and that does not allow that spot to be effective on a media plan. And if we oversell digital and have too many in the loop, the share of voice will decrease, and therefore effectiveness will decrease. And that is not a good trend for us to continue on. And also, when you look at it in the holistic part of media planning, it looks really ineffective and incredibly expensive. So that's just a risk, inherent risk, but there is opportunity for us to be really careful about that so that we continually prove effectiveness and drive the value of 100% share of voice with our billboards, but then also using the aspects of digital that are really powerful in contextually relevant advertising and on more sites for the reach, but also making sure that it's continuing to be effective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you for keeping it concise and clear and getting the message across. And we appreciate you keeping to time so beautifully. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 3 questions have been chosen, and doing us the honors this time around, we've got Lakshman Annamalai from Coral Media, who joins us on stage. Good morning, sir. Welcome. Thank you for, that difficult task. The number of questions that keep coming in are now increasing. We love it, but the one choosing it definitely has his hands full. Good morning.
Yeah, audible? Yeah. Hi, Melanie. Thanks for that wonderful session, especially the session that you covered the knowledge gap and for a person to upskill, because we do see a lot of skill set issues in our industry, especially when technology is evolving, so dramatically in the last decade. Thank you for that. Okay, so coming to the questions, the first question is from Neeta Gulati from Alak Advertising. Media owners are moving to DOH space. The clients are not enjoying sharing the space with 5 other brands. What do you see in the crystal ball?
I had a very similar experience working in Australian media, and I was talking to Charles about it yesterday, I think it was, that when we digitised one of the street furniture network and then we digitised billboards, it was 1 in 6 for street furniture and 1 in 10. And there was absolutely backlash from the agencies and clients because they were used to 100% share of voice. However, we did an enormous amount of work on the data research and insights into the difference between digital and static, traditional, classic out of home. And when we started to talk to them about those differences and how they act differently on a media plan, and they do, and then also the flexibility of how you can change up your message from time of day, day of the week, or if it's raining, the contextual relevance is incredibly powerful, and that's not what traditional classic static out of home can do. And even though they're sharing, the message is already 19% plus more effective on digital. But then, of course, we continued to make sure that the research data and insights proved the power of the static, classic, traditional out of home so that we didn't lose that off the plan, because it always has a place for brand awareness, reach and frequency. They own it on one side, but then they can add contextual relevant advertising and more power with digital, and the combined two is very good on a plan. So it comes down to a lot of education, research data and insight to prove.
Oh, so the second one would be from Surya Narayan Vishwanathan. Hi, with DOH evolving, what are the possibilities to integrate our DOH with customer mobiles? How far can we go?
Integrating mobile data with digital?
Digital out of home with your mobile, with your personal mobile phone.
Right, okay. Yes, the technology is already there, and Clear Channel in Singapore actually did an incredible effort with their street furniture network, or the bus shelters, in connecting that up so that when advertisers were trying to retarget, they could use that network to do that. So the technology is already there and can be implemented quite easily. Although there is always barriers to technology implementation, obviously with the cost of CapEx. So that's where collaboration and partnership becomes really important.
And the third one would be from Debmalya Ghosh from Coral Media. So he's asked, have you ever worked with Indian brands or executed anything in India? If yes, what are the pros and cons and challenges that you faced executing in India vis-a-vis the global markets?
So that's working with the brand or a campaign in India? And the challenges?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Yes, the answer is yes. We've run multiple campaigns in India. The challenges, there's a few. One is that there's obviously an enormous volume of inventory. And then also the identification of the quality inventory. Global brands are very specific about the quality of inventory. We do have challenges around clutter because a lot of brands, like you talked about with digital out of home, sharing the the billboards, they're also sharing the space with a lot of other advertisers. So that can be a challenge. And then audience measurement. On the plan, India and a few other countries, we often only have a volume metric, volume of traffic that we can use. And we do talk to the agencies and the brands and explain to them about audience measurement. But when they look at it holistically, we say 26 other countries and multiple cities within those countries, it does look like a very easy option to remove it from a plan because it doesn't have validated audience measurement. So our job at Talon is to make sure we advocate on the power of advertising because we know it works here. But when it comes to the more granular analysis of it without audience measurement, it becomes very easy to remove it from a plan.
Yeah. So, which one would you select as the best question out of the three?
The last one.
The last one? Okay, it's from Debalya Ghosh from Coral Media.
Congratulations. Please join us on stage. Can we please request Melanie and Lakshman to please do us the honors? Ladies and gentlemen, let us do the honors as well. We love this Q&A time, especially the winners and the smiles. And then, of course, we've got a memento. Can we please have a memento being brought up onto stage? Can you do us the honors, please? Thank you.